Goodbye to 6% commission forever. Thanks to the NAR settlement, the real estate world is the wild, wild west. Realtor lawsuit settlement will change housing market forever. A $418 million lawsuit just happened against the NAR, National Association of Realtors, and I'm gonna tell you what happened and what that means for realtor commissions moving forward on this episode of Ryan in Real Estate. So yes, the NAR just settled a $418 million lawsuit to settle the issue that's been going on in litigation for quite a while now, which was basically, it was a group of Missouri home sellers and they sued over policies on their agent compensation, arguing that the NAR rule required home sellers to pay commissions to their agents and the agents of the buyers, which led to inflated fees and price fixing. So here is the reality. Commissions with realtors has always been a very clear, vague topic, and many real estate agents don't want to jump into it. I believe there's some reasons for that, and I'll explain those just in a little bit. But before I get into it, you are welcome to go Google it, find it, read it. I've read the entire settlement itself, and I'm bringing all that information to you today to kind of help you understand what that means for realtors, what that means for home buyers, home sellers, and as far as commissions are concerned. So let's first start off. What does this really mean? So really there are a couple of changes that are going to come out of the lawsuit. It may feel like there's a lot more, and by the way, these have yet to be in effect and they're not supposed to go into effect to July. It still has to get approved, but most likely it will. Number one is that this is going to remove the requirement of compensation for the buyer's agent from the MLS. You cannot display as a listing agent, as a seller, you cannot display what the buyer's agent compensation is going to be on the MLS. You cannot promote it in any form or fashion. Number two is you cannot make any offers on the MLS of compensation on the MLS. Pretty simple. But what does this really mean? Because right now, if you were to go on the MLS, you would see, hey, this house is listed and the seller is offering to the listing agent's brokerage is offering to the buyer's agent's brokerage this percentage of the commission. What does that mean now is that sellers don't have to offer a buyer's commission. And the reality is, commissions have always been negotiable. There's agents out there that do 1%. There's agents out there that do 3%. There's agents that do 4%. Commissions have always been negotiable. It's just how you're presenting them and the agreements that you are signing. So number one, sellers don't have to offer a buyer's commission. However, let me just say this to you sellers. If you choose to not offer a buyer's commission, you are probably putting yourself at a very strong competitive disadvantage to being able to sell your property for top dollar. So just understand that. Number two is, what does this mean? It means that buyers will need to sign an agreement with their buyer's agent and state how the commission is going to be paid and what the commission percentage is. And I'll show you just a minute how that breaks down. But overall, those are the biggest changes. Again, commissions have always been negotiable. A seller can choose whatever they want to pay the listing broker to sell their house. The standard out there in Texas at least has been 6%. And then most brokers then go, hey, we're gonna give 3% to the buyer's agent, and then as the listing agent, we're gonna keep 3% and split it up that way. And I'll break this down again for you how it happens. So that seller signs out a listing agreement for the total commission that is gonna be paid to that brokerage, and then the listing brokerage pays out that commission to the buyer's brokerage, which then pays out that buyer's agent. One of the great things, I'm in a great brokerage who has really helped guide us through that process. Thank you, Sharon and Real Broker, for all their knowledge and helping us get to that point. So I'm gonna break down how it is now and where it will go. The old way of how commission would work is simply this. First thing is, seller's going to agree on that price of what they're going to pay the listing agent or the brokerage, and then the listing agent and the brokerage is going to pay the buyer's agent out of that. That was the old way. What does the new way look like? Very similar, but just a hair bit different. Here's how it works. The seller is still going to pay the listing agent the agreed amount he believes that percentage should be to sell his house. Difference now is the buyer is going to pay the buyer's agent's commission for representing them in the transaction, or the buyer's agent can negotiate a commission from the seller in concessions to pay for the buyer's agent commission. So it's kind of the same way of how it will land, but it's a different road of how you get there. So that's really where we're at. What does this all really mean for everyone, and what does this do to the real estate industry? If you looked at some of the headlines right now, you would think the realtor world, the real estate world is falling apart. Things like goodbye to 6% commission forever. Thanks to the NAR settlement, the real estate world is the wild, wild west. Realtor lawsuit settlement will change housing market forever. Honestly, all of these are very clickbaitish and really trying to just kind of create drama as they normally do. The reality is commissions have always been negotiable. It's just how we're going down the path of paying out those commissions. So what does this really do for the process in real estate transactions, in the process and commissions? Here's what I believe. Number one, I believe it brings clarity to our industry and our relationships with our clients. It's going to bring more clarity between the buyer and the buyer's agent and the seller and the listing agent. And you know, there's always been like, hey, who pays for what? First time home buyers are like, do I pay you? You know, it's always kind of been like, oh no, the seller just pays for it. It really brings in clarity and helps everyone understand where it's at. The second thing is, again, it's always negotiable. As in real estate, most contracts, there's tons of options for negotiability, and that's the same way with commissions. It is possible to have the seller still pay for the buyer's agent's commission. And quite honestly, that is probably a route as a seller you still want to go, because what it would do if you were just resistant on paying any buyer's agent a commission is you're adding on additional costs to the buyer, which makes home affordability continue to be very low, and less people will be able to afford homes, which in the end will drive sales prices down if sellers are really gonna dig their heel in and go, I'm not gonna pay for that commission. Because the reality is, when you bought your house, you probably didn't pay commission to your buyer's agent to purchase it, and that's just the way it's been. We're decoupling this now, and it should be great moving forward and more clear, but clarity is what we really want. Number two that I think is going to be very beneficial coming out of this is it's really going to help clients understand the value that their agent that they're choosing to represent them is bringing to the table. There's a lot of agents out there who just basically say, hey, put my name on the contract, or hey, go check out all the open houses. Let me know what house you want. I'll write it up and I'll only charge you $500 and you can keep the rest of the commission. You're going to see through this, it's going to weed out and see who the gifted, the skilled realtors are that are actually going to serve you and have your best interest and what they bring to the table. And so realtors, it's our time to step up and show our value proposition of what we do in order to serve our clients the best way possible. And again, number three, I believe it's really going to force agents to show their clients their value of what they bring to the table. The reality is many of our clients don't honestly know what we do as real estate agents, and I believe that this settlement and what's coming from it is going to really help everyone have a much more clear picture of what value we bring, what we do, and what separates us from some of the other people that are in our industry. All in all, I actually think the settlement's a great thing, and if you have any questions, please feel free. Drop a comment, shoot a DM. I've done my best to explain it. I'm sure it's not perfect, but from all the information I'm gathering, this is where I feel like is the best summary of it. Again, if you have any questions, if you agree with me or you don't agree with me, put that in the comment or DM as well. Other than that, we'll see you next time on Ryan in Real Estate.